now this talk is open for Q&A.
So it's Takeuchi from the University of Tokyo. Very nice work, thank you very much. And I have one question. How can you load only a single bead into the top?
Great question. Okay. That's what I call the Family Feud version, where if you do the presentation enough times, everyone asks the same question. So 6 is doing well. So this is actually an issue. I don't know if you saw the slide where I had the many diodes in parallel, but having just a single bead loaded to one of those channels at a time did not happen for us. So what you end up finding is that what you can do is you can actually change the dimensions here so that after a single microbead traps, if there's another microbead or additional microbeads in this area, what you'll find is that when you reverse the flow rate, you can actually allow it to be able to simply just get rid of those beads. And that's why we have 2 channels, one for bead loading and one for the bead outlet. And using that technology, that's how we were able to get this kind of video. Because initially it did not look like that at all.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. I have 2 questions. The first question is, the problem of sticks, especially if you're going to go down in scale, do you expect that your bead will get stuck in the reverse?
Okay, let's do this one. All right, so this was obviously a major issue that we had. It wasn't so bad at lower Reynolds number, but it was an issue at higher Reynolds number because the microbead that we found was getting stuck in that acute angle that we had. We have a 1-degree angle for the microbus bead array, and you need that for the microfluidic railing process. And so we were definitely losing devices with these beads sticking. So that was why we added this circle here. You can add a post anywhere, but what you really just need to have is something that is not an acute angle like we had in that first design. So great observation, it was an issue. Use a circle and you can prevent it.
Thank you. Please.
Ciao, I hope I'll be able to come up with a question which is not on your list. I didn't see that. Well, I don't know how important this is, but how did you choose the length of the device? Because when the fluid flow changes direction, the bead really travels quite a bit back and forth, and it takes some time before the diode starts functioning. So how important is that, and how did you choose the length of it?
All right, so the length of it we chose. Okay, so from the prior work of transducers, what we found is that this is the part for the microbus. You need the microbus because if the angle is too high, the microbeads will just immobilize in the system. However, if you are to decrease this angle, what you'll find is that the microbeads are able to move freely and be railed successfully. So that's the reason we have such a long device. The V-shaped device that you saw in the parallel simulation, or I'm sorry, not simulation, experimental results, the V-shaped device was used in order to reduce that overall area. And essentially, also, we moved that circle up higher in order to be able to get more fluid flow to impact it to make sure that it moves, but also just to limit the amount of distance it has to travel. What you saw today, those were our very first generation, and we got them in. But there are definitely certain things, as we've mentioned today, that we want to do in order to improve it. Device area, getting the bead as close as possible to its trapping channel. Those are all major directions we're going to go to. Thank you.
Okay, we need someone to change, right? Hopefully this one is not included.
That's from the University of Tokyo. Let me take the more difficult question. So if the both pressure in and out is equalized, there is no flow. So there is a Brownian motion of the particle, and it may drift away because of the random walk. Then what happens?
All right, so even if there's...
So you don't have any slides, right?
No, you stumped me. That was the first one I got for that. So it's tough to say because honestly, we're using a PDMS system, and anytime you're using PDMS, it acts in a way like a fluidic capacitor, where it's able to actually, does actually, like, not really deform, but it shifts back to its normal position. And so in the demonstrations that in terms of the experiments that I've run, what usually happens is actually the microbead is forced back into the trap. And because we're using polystyrene microbeads, they actually stick there. Anyone who's used microbeads in PDMS knows that they are sticky. We already had to get to that question. And so you need a decent amount, a little bit more force in order to get it to move. Brownian motion, I don't, we didn't release it.
Any more questions from the floor? I think it's well prepared, okay? So before we conclude this section, let's thank Dr. Sochol again.